gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. This is your show host, the Lone Wolves. Hey, we have some major breaking news coming up out of the Middle East, um, as well as we got breaking news coming out of Russia. We have a lot to go through. We have ships that's been struck in Hormuz. We have Iran uh, allegedly saying that they've actually hit a U.S. warship. We're going to go through all of this today. We're going to go and also we also have live call-ins as well. So feel free to call in, speak your mind. One second, y'all. All right, but anyways, we had somebody just messaged in, y'all, and asked the question, are we going to be going back and putting boots on the ground in Iran? It's um, that's definitely going to have to be. Iran has too many tunnel systems, um, to not have to put boots on the ground. I hate to say that because I don't want to see any of our soldiers put in harm's way, especially the people that don't even care about their own people. Uh, Once I got to get a sip of coffee. Um, I don't think Trump wants to put the boots on the ground until he knows that everything is cleared out. And I don't blame him because he's already getting a lot of heat because of this war, anyways. And y'all, this is a country, or I apologize. The Iranian, it's not the Iranian people, it's the regime. This regime has been chanting death to America, death to Israel, and death to the world for 50 years, nonstop. Then Obama tries to pay them off to be on our side. And the only thing he did was take all the money out of the East Coast and a big ass, apologize, to a big ship and ship them across seas. I'm not sure how much exactly it was. I think it was like $300 billion, which is insane. Uh, when you think about it, because this is taxpayers' money that they're sending across seas. No guarantees. Nothing. Just say, here you go, don't build a nuclear weapon. And they did it anyway. So, what does that really tell you about the regime? We're literally sitting here bombing the heck out of them, and they still sitting there saying, uh, we won't enrich for 15 years. No, no, you won't enrich at all, buddy. You won't enrich at all. Uh, it's getting very serious. The call lines are open, like I said. Uh, 540 251 7687 is the number. If y'all want to call in, speak your mind, please. I'd like to hear y'all. All I like to know what's on y'all's mind. But we do have some. Uh, let's see here. Flight paths of the U.S. KC-135R stratotanker before signaling loss over the Strait of Hormuz, with the aircraft descending while squawking general emergency and heading toward Qatar. Currently unclear if it crashed or landed. Powerful regional level A GPS jamming and spoofing has also been seen over the Strait of Hormuz in the past hour. Okay, so they're trying to jam the signals for our strato tankers. Um, and we lost signal of one of our strato tankers over the Hormuz Strait. Hopefully, they made it to Qatar. Um, uh, Iran's deputy in parliament just said live we would test a nuclear bomb if there were no sheer or fatwa tomorrow. Oh, fatwa. They're literally talking about changing religious rules to test nuclear weapons. This is extremely bad for markets. This is crazy. Um, Uh, breaking reports indicate several U.S. fighter jets are currently inbound toward Iran. The tension in the region has reached a breaking point. We could be looking at something massive unfolding tonight. Stay tuned. This is from American Power. Uh, that's good news source. Um, and what do y'all think about these UFOs, man? About Trump and everybody else talking about declassifying these UFO files. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see what actually they actually let out. All right, y'all. So we're gonna get through the breaking news. Um, Benjamin Nahu News says war has begun. Targets locked. Tonight is a dark night for Iran. So it looks like the attacks are going to be tonight. Um, you got propaganda on here. It says Iran is your master. No amount of bombing will defeat them, but be ready to cry. Okay, dude. If that's what you think. But anyway, see, just in Iran has fired another barrage of missiles and drones towards the the EAU. Air defense are activated, intercepting the threats. The world must unite against this radical regime aggression. The UAE is a peaceful nation being targeted simply for not bowing to the Muslims or mullahs, whatever. So it says here, overclassified. This is from Overclassified on X. It says, launching today, Trump's UFO disclosure bombshell imminent. The rumor will, the rumor mill and UFO tweeter and UAPX is on fire right now, and for good reason. Back in February 2026, President Trump directed federal agencies to declassify and release all government files on alien and extraterrestrial life, UAPs, and UFOs. Just weeks later, in mid-March 2026, around March 17th, 18th, the White House, CISA quietly registered aliens.gov and alien.gov. And y'all can actually, I'll post that on, I'll post a link on, just
below,
weeks, so y'all know. The link is actually in the chat box, so y'all know. I'm going to be posting it in all the chat boxes, even over on.
If you're a gun owner who wants to carry comfortably this summer, then I've got some great news for you. Right now, you've got an
All right, so the link to that is in the description below. So y'all can actually go and read that. It's in the comments in the chat box. All right, so but anyways, let's get to the daily news now. That we can. We do have a lot going on today, so make sure y'all buckle up. But call lines are open, y'all. 540-251-7687. It's also on the screen scrolling, so y'all know. If y'all haven't done it yet and y'all are new to the channel, please drop a like, drop a subscription, and drop a follow, and hit that bell button so y'all get notified about when we come on air. But let's get to the news, y'all, and I hope y'all like it.
This morning, massive explosions have been heard on Iran's islands in the Strait of Hormuz and at the military port of Bandar Abbas, and it's currently not known who's responsible, but eyewitnesses report possible military strikes. Meanwhile, mysterious fires are erupting all over Iran as chaos seems to be returning to the capital city of Tehran, which is a very ominous sign, by the way, because the last time we saw this was only a few days before U.S. airstrikes on the Iranian capital. We're also tracking active missile attacks on the UAE as the military warns they are currently under attack and are activating air defenses to protect their skies from these Iranian missiles. Meanwhile, in Russia, Ukraine just launched their largest ballistic missile attack on the Russian mainland since the start of the war, striking a massive refinery, a military factory, and several other major targets. So we have very big news and also some pretty big developments with Iran once again today, and also big news with Russia as well. So let's start with our first major article, which goes to Conflict Radar.
Play War Thunder now. Join millions of players across the globe in massive battles on tanks, aircraft, and helicopters.
And right now, this is our biggest story of the day. We are currently getting a very big story that apparently two major blasts have been reported on Qashem Island, which is right in the Strait of Hormuz. And you might notice this is where the Iranian toll booth is currently located to stop and basically frisk the vessels and basically shake them down for money as they're going through the Strait of Hormuz. So that is it right there where you see that orange dot. That is Qashem Island right here. And that is a very critical island for Iranian control of the Strait of Hormuz. And that is where we've heard two major blasts just a few hours ago. So right now, we don't know exactly who's behind it. We don't know if maybe it's something on the ground exploding, or maybe possibly it's covert airstrikes. But eyewitnesses are saying that these are very large explosions, and it seems like it could be possible airstrikes. But this is not the only thing we've heard of so far, by the way. And moving into our next post here, this one goes to FITUX News, and we're also hearing from FITUX. They're saying as well that there might have been strikes in southern Iran earlier today, and it's unclear to what extent or who was behind it, like we also said ourselves, but here is what we currently know. Apparently, Shib Daraz port was hit earlier today, and there was also 3 major explosions in Bandar Abbas, which is a very critical Iranian military port, and also, of course, we did hear Qasem Island had explosions as well. Strikes in southern Iran earlier. It seems a little bit hard to say, but I mean, it sounds to me like it could be strikes. I mean, this is a pretty wide-ranging series of explosions, and we haven't heard the U.S. announce strikes. I think they're denying that right now, but I'm not sure who else it could be. Maybe it could be Israel, but I mean, this seems like a pretty big deal. So we're currently watching that right now. It could be the resumption of strikes in Iran by the U.S. or Israelis possibly, but we're just going to have to wait and see. Maybe the UAE decided to respond. That's possible as well, but I would kind of doubt that one. They've been a little bit hesitant the entire time, but we'll keep an eye on that. But moving into our next post here, this one is going to go to none other than open source intel. And right here we see another bad sign for the Iranians. Apparently those mysterious fires have returned to Iran once again, and we've seen apparently a large shopping center in western or some part of Tehran actually apparently has gone up in a massive fire right here right on the outskirts of Tehran, and this is a pretty serious one. As you can see in the video we're about to watch, there's a whole bunch of people that are lurking around outside trying to figure out what's going on, but these fires were also just what we saw right before airstrikes started back in February on the Iranian capital Tehran. So sort of an ominous sign right here to say the least, but let's take a look at our first video and see the fires ravaging the outskirts of Tehran. Let's take a look. So there you can see it, a very large fire on that shopping center right here. And there's people lurking around all over the place in the video, as you can see right outside the facility. But this is a very big fire. I'm going to back the video up just a little bit. As you can see, the entire building is engulfed. So, I mean, that was serious. If that was something that was accidental, that was a very strong accidental fire right there. So that's our first video of this fire. But we also have a second one here in our next post. And this one is going to go to none other than Insider Paper. And this is another view of the shopping center in western Tehran. So let's take a look at our second video. So here it is from a second angle right here, as you can see. Very large fire. It goes without saying it's a massive fire right there, but also you might note another thing as well. There is another similarity here to what we're seeing right before possible airstrikes begin on Iran. Of course, we did hear before the Iranians were trying to write off all these explosions and fires back in February as gas leaks. They were calling them accidents, and they were calling them all kinds of stuff. They were running cover for the fact that apparently sabotage attempts were taking place inside their country. So this looks very, very similar to what we saw back in February. So this could be an omen that maybe U.S. airstrikes are coming soon, possibly, but we'll have to wait and see. But moving into our next one here, this one's going to go to open source intel yet again. We've also gotten a possible emergency scenario happening with U.S. Air Force aircraft right now over the Persian Gulf. Because we can see right here in the post, it says a U.S. Air Force tanker, a KC-46A, declared an emergency by transmitting code 7700 over the Persian Gulf just a few minutes ago. And at this point, it's a few hours ago at this point, by the way. This is the second U.S. Air Force refueling tanker operating over the Persian Gulf, declaring an emergency in a short period of time. So let me show this to you, by the way. This is a screenshot from Flight Radar 24, by the way. And as you can tell over here in the comments, they were not happy about their logo not appearing on this image right here. But this is from Flight Radar 24, just to make that clear. But as you can see, though, in the Persian Gulf, that is where this tanker was flying around, and something happened to it right on the outskirts of the UAE. Right here in the middle, there's a racetrack right in the Persian Gulf, and that's when it started squawking 7700, and we're not sure what happened with these two tankers. It could be that they got fired upon by the Iranians. That seems to be maybe a likely option right now, but two malfunctions, I don't know about two malfunctions happening that close together. That seems a little bit unlikely. So we're not sure exactly what happened, but it could.
I'm thinking that somehow, some way, China actually got jamming systems into Iran. Maybe by air, because I did see a Iranian airplane heading towards Iran, and then when it got to Iran, the transponder went off. So you take that with a grain of sand. I'm not for sure what they was doing or why they was doing that, but I mean, flying in a war zone like that is a little crazy. I'm just saying.
be some tankers got hit once again by the Iranians. That could be a possibility, but right now the details are very slim, but we are watching this one very closely. But moving on from this post right here and moving into our next one, this one is going to go to Alex Ward, and also we can confirm this. The UAE is currently under a brand new active missile attack from the Iranians, and this is either the second or third major attack that's occurred on the UAE in just the last 48 hours alone. So this is pretty serious. Right now we've seen from the UAE, they say the UAE's air defenses are currently dealing with missile and drone attacks originating from Iran, and the Ministry of Defense confirms that the sounds heard in scattered areas of the country are a result of the UAE air defense systems intercepting ballistic missiles and cruise missiles as well. So that's a very serious situation right here. We did see the other day that explosions were heard in Abu Dhabi, and we don't know exactly what the damage was. The UAE government's currently arresting people for filming inside of their own country, which is quite crazy. But apparently there was an explosion there, and we believe there was damage. That's what we believe right now. So we'll have to see exactly what's going on with that, but the UAE is covering up what's happening, so we're having to sort of be left guessing at this point exactly how bad the damage is. But moving on from this, though, this active attack by Iran on the UAE, by the way, so basically the ceasefire is gone for the most part. Moving into our next one, this one goes to Disclosed TV. And wait a minute. I said the ceasefire was gone, but actually apparently the ceasefire is not gone, even though the UAE just got attacked, and also Iran just fired missiles at our ships yesterday. According to the Secretary of War, the ceasefire is not over, according to him. So apparently ceasefire does not include the word cease in it anymore, apparently. But it's kind of a strange thing, by the way. Apparently the U.S. is going to abide by a ceasefire that has been broken by the Iranians already. It seems like a little bit of a strange thing right there. So apparently the ceasefire is still on, from what I can gather, but I mean, that's kind of weird. I think most people will agree a ceasefire means all fire has ceased. But, you know, by definition, fire has restarted yet again by the Iranians. So I'm not sure what the hell they mean at this point. It's kind of up for debate. But anyways, though, I think Marco is going to be holding a press conference in place of the normal White House press secretary this evening, so maybe we'll hear some more details from Marco possibly. That should be quite interesting, and I think that might be Marco's 9th or 10th job that he's taken on, by the way. He's a very busy person, working several jobs. But moving into our next one here, this one goes to Fitex News. In the meantime, though, it looks like there are 2 destroyers that are popping up on satellite images today in the Strait of Hormuz. By the way, this is very rare to see this because there's been a lot of censoring of satellite imagery coming out of the Middle East, and this is very unusual to get to see it, but we have seen the 2 destroyers right here off the coast of the UAE inside the Persian Gulf. And I do want to note something here. This is about the same location that we saw that tanker aircraft that I just covered a few posts back. It was circling in a racetrack, and that's where it started squawking an emergency, is right over the area of these destroyers right here, right off the coast of the UAE. And also, I got some more detail as well. Apparently, these ships right here are engaging in air defense activities on behalf of the UAE. And like I said, this is also where that tanker had an emergency, is right over this area where they're currently intercepting missiles from Iran. So, I mean, it's up for debate right now about whether or not Iran hit another one of our tankers possibly while it was flying in the air. It's unknown right now. That's a big assumption to make, but we're going to have to wait and see, though, because, I mean, the proximity to the destroyers and the missile activity seems a little bit questionable, to say the least. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But moving on from this story right here and the very rare look at the destroyers right off the coast, we also have another post here, and this one goes to Idris Ali. And this is a very, very big revelation right here. And in fact, it proves one of our predictions 100% accurate. And we got a lot of flack for making this prediction a while back. Apparently, Hegseth and Kane showed a graphic today at a press briefing showing the activity in the region in the Strait of Hormuz since the ceasefire began. And get this, it says on April the 23rd, Iran put more mines in the Strait of Hormuz. Now, if you go back and look at our streams and our videos from April 23rd, you will see that we made a prediction and we said that the fast attack boats that went out were likely dropping more mines in the Strait of Hormuz, and a lot of people said, no, that's not true, you're just simply saying that because you're trying to run propaganda. We made that prediction and we stuck to it, and now we have confirmation of it. Right here in the graphic, you can see it says right there in the middle on April 23rd, Iran lays more mines in the Strait. So now we have confirmation from the commanders themselves that the Strait of Hormuz is mined, and not only mined, but it's been been mined multiple times by the Iranian fast attack boats. And also what this means as well, now that we've gotten confirmation of that, is it is true, like we've been saying, it is going to be extremely difficult for commercial ships to go through the strait unless they go through Iran's toll booth, because there are mines in the strait, and that's confirmed now, according to the commander's information here on the screenshot we're looking at. So it's very hard for the commercial ships to go through because they might hit a mine and they might lose their entire ship. So now it's looking as grim as we were describing it. It is looking that way according to what we got today in the information. So that is quite a big one. But just had to mention that, by the way, because we got a lot of flack for that prediction, but now it turns out it has been proven. But moving into our next one here, this one goes to conflict radar. In the meantime, the Iranians are still running at the mouth, and they're running at the mouth quite badly right here. So let's see what they're saying. Apparently, the Speaker of Iran's parliament, Ghalibaf, has said the new equation of the Strait of Hormuz is in the process of being solidified, and the security of shipping and energy transit has been jeopardized by the United States and its allies through the violation of the ceasefire and the imposition of a blockade, and of course, their evil will diminish. We know full well that the continuation of the status quo is intolerable for America, in his words, while we have not yet even begun. What a nasty statement, by the way, and also what a propaganda statement right here. This guy's really something else. But as you can see here, though, he's blaming the United States for blockading the Strait of Hormuz, even though the Iranians are the ones violating international law and maritime law by blockading it in the first place. They're blaming the United States. So this is status quo for this regime right here. It's a status quo for these lies to come out like this. But as you can see, though, they're calling the United States evil. They're saying that Iran has not even begun yet. So, I mean, talks are not going to be successful. Once again, we've been saying that for weeks, and now this is more proof of it. It's coming straight from the Iranians' mouths. But moving into our next one here, if you don't believe me yet, get this right here. This is a report from Bloomberg. Apparently, Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, is going to be traveling to Beijing for talks. So while China is pretending like they're completely neutral here, and also the U.S. is begging China to help reopen the strait, Iran is going to collude with China right now, and they're actually going straight to Beijing for talks. And we don't know exactly what they're going to be talking about. It could be procuring more weapons. It could be some type of political interference. We don't know what it is, but obviously they're going to meet with their friends in China, and that paints a pretty clear picture that it's clearly an alliance between Iran and China, and they're trying to basically tear down the United States economically with the Strait of Hormuz situation. And I got to say, folks, I love it when all this proof like this comes out right here. This is quite good. It proves a lot of our arguments we've been making so far, so I'm glad to see it. But with that, though, moving on from all that, we're moving into our next article here, and we're moving into some massive news right now coming out of Ukraine and Russia, and we are seeing some of the longest missile strikes we have ever seen Ukraine conduct on the Russian Federation, and right now Ukraine is going all out. Like, I don't know what's caused this, but Ukraine is going all out with their attacks on the refineries. They're attacking with Flamingo missiles. Russia is getting hammered left and right, and this is approaching the May 9th Victory Day parade, where Putin is once again making threats to start launching attacks on Kyiv over this whole situation. So let's start with our first one right here from Visegrad 24. And it says right here, Ukrainian long-range drones struck the Kurishi oil refinery in the Leningrad region this morning inside of Russia. And get this, Kurishi is one of Russia's largest refineries with a capacity of almost 400,000 barrels per day, and it accounts for 7% of Russia's total refining volume, and the refinery is now on fire. Take a look at this. That is the refinery, and it is a massive fire here, and it looks like it will probably end up spreading like we've seen in other areas like Tuapse and also other cities outside of St. Petersburg. So this is quite a big deal, and this is 7% of Russia's total refining capabilities right here, so they can't afford to lose it. But also, I hate to be a spoiler right here, but they are probably going to lose this right here, and for all the people that were saying maybe with these Ukrainian attacks, the Russian entire oil industry might come crashing down, that is starting to look a lot more probable than it was just about a week ago. With all these different attacks right here, and Russia being largely unable to defend against the missiles and the drones from Ukraine, it's starting to look a lot more likely that the entire oil industry inside of Russia might end up going under because of these massive attacks. I mean, a country can't survive, massive percentages like 7% getting taken out on a daily basis. They can't survive something like that. So it might push Putin to act more extreme, possibly, or maybe Russia might just start maybe getting angry with Putin for this happening right here. Maybe he might spare some air defense systems from his mansions, possibly. But moving into our next one here, this one goes to Osen Technical. Meanwhile, we caught a wild flock of flamingos making their way into apparently Novochebsk tonight inside of Russia. And all jokes aside, the flamingo is a cruise missile. It's basically like the equivalent, or the, like, I guess you should say the clone of a Tomahawk missile, but it's not as accurate, we're being told. But the details are a little bit sparse about that, so it's kind of a guesswork with that. But the flamingo is a very big, very potent, high yield missile, and the Ukrainians have been lobbing them into Russia all night last night, and also some into the morning even. But right here in the video we're about to watch, we're going to see one of those flamingos coming in and hitting inside of this Russian city. So let's take a look.
Play solo. After work. At your own pace. No stress. World of Warships is naval combat without pressure.
So there it is. That is a flamingo hit right there. And look how far away the camera is. I mean, they got to be miles away. And look how large that explosion was right there. A lot of damage a flamingo can do right there. And I guess you can call that an orange flamingo. It doesn't look like a pink one. So that's what we got right there. Look at that. A huge hit from that missile in that video. But let's move on from this one right here and move into another larger hit that Ukraine conducted. And this one goes to woofers. And right here we see another massive loss. Apparently an FP5 missile impacted with this facility right here, which is the VNIIR progress plant inside of Russia. And we believe that this facility right here might have been involved with production of somehow the guidance systems of Russian systems, possibly, but we're not entirely sure just yet. But it is a military factory, though, according to what we've heard. So let's take a look at this video and see the missile impacting right here. So there it goes right there. In fact, it's a drone, actually. It's not a missile. My mistake. Whoa. Oh. As you can see right there, a big hit. Shut off every car alarm in town. As you can see, you can hear those aftermarket car alarms chirping away like a bird. But look at that. I mean, that's a huge hit right there on not the main building, by the way. The main building's over here on the left, but it apparently hit a supplementary building right there at the front. So still, nonetheless, a very big hit. And once again, probably pretty damaging, I'd imagine. But moving into our next one here, this one's going to go to Phytex Network. Also, by the way, apparently one of these buildings that was hit right here that we're about to take a look at was apparently an electronic warfare equipment factory in the Chuvash Republic. And apparently this is one of the largest strikes that Ukraine's ever conducted with a missile. And this one was over 900 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. And let's take a look at our video here. We can see a video of this facility on fire. So let's see how bad the missile actually can hit something. Let's take a look. Ay, ay, ay. It looks like Mount Vesuvius over here. They got like fires everywhere. Look at that. Fires all over the ground. You got fires on the side of the building. I'm gonna go ahead and mute this, by the way. They're playing something in the background. But as you can see, though, look at that. I mean, this whole place is messed up. Fires everywhere, debris everywhere. And allegedly, this facility right here is involved with electronic warfare equipment. So another big hit. Ukraine just basically decided to salt and pepper everything last night from the looks of it. So there's another big hit. One of the longest range strikes with the flamingo that we're currently seeing right now. But moving into our last post here, this one goes to Max 25. And this is a very concerning one, by the way, because right now we are seeing a massive threat being lobbed from Russia. Apparently from May the 5th to the 8th, Russia has closed the airspace over the Kapustin Yar test site for the time being. And some people are going to say, well, Matt, it's just a test site. What are you so worried about? Well, here's the catch. What Russia launches from this test site is ICBMs and IRBM missiles, which can be nuclear capable. So that's a very big problem right here. The last time we saw something fired from Kapustin Yar, it was a IRBM missile that was launched at Ukraine, and that was the Oreshnik, which at this point, nobody's really sure works or not. But Russia does have some other ones that do work, though. So the reason why I believe this is the case right here, this is a very sneaky threat by Vladimir Putin against Ukraine, and specifically against the government of Ukraine, because what this probably is all about right here is Ukraine is suggesting they might strike the Victory Day parade inside.
Hey, I just want to let y'all know we got a poll going out right now. Just asking the audience if y'all think that we should actually keep the live stream call-ins. Let me know what y'all think. No, I don't think we have too many votes right now. I'm not actually looking at the page right now. So, if y'all call lines are open too, we're going to be doing the call lines for probably 2 more weeks. If we don't get no traction with it, then we'll move on to something else. But there is a poll open right now, y'all, asking the audience if we should keep the call-ins. Call lines are open 251. I'm sorry, 540-251-7687.
Of Moscow, and we just saw 2 attacks on Moscow just over the last 72 hours. And now Putin's been saying that if Ukraine has the guts to go and strike the Victory Day parade, then they're going to retaliate on Kyiv. And now we're seeing the Kapustin Yar test site have their airspace closed around that same time period. So to me, it seems like a pretty clear threat by Vladimir Putin towards Ukraine, and I think that was the message that's being sent. Also, another thing I want to note, Zelensky is currently in the Middle East. He is not inside of Ukraine, so I'm not sure if that's maybe intentional right there, that maybe they're removing him from the danger possibly, that Russia could retaliate. I'm not sure if that is intentional, but Zelensky, I believe, is in Bahrain right now. He's not inside of Ukraine, so we're going to watch this one very close, but we could be seeing Russia escalate dramatically possibly, but we'll have to wait and see. But with that, folks, that is actually our last post of the video. So if you found today's video informative,
Y'all see that we are 1 second, y'all. Let me post this real quick. Um, um, all right, so live call-ins tonight at 10:30 starting. The number is 540-251-7687. Is the calling number. Lines will be open at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. So if y'all want to call in, give a shout out, whatever, on air, do it. Speak your mind. Chat, whatever. Please be respectful on air, please. That's all I ask. And just remember that we are on air and we do have younger audience. So, just remember that, please. Just so we don't get confused or start saying stuff that shouldn't be said on air for little kids to hear. Because sometimes we do have teenagers and stuff on here and watch the news and stuff just to figure out what's going on. But I really hope y'all like the show today. We're trying harder to actually bring more activities. We're actually about to start having. I'm looking into actually putting a game on the stream as I stream, so y'all can sit there and actually do crosswords, stuff like that, word games, quizzes, everything else. Let me know, and I'm actually going to ask the audience about that too as well. But I just want to let y'all know I am working on that, so we can have so y'all can sit there and play games and stuff while y'all sit there and listen to the news. We're probably going to go and have. We're probably going to do these call-ins for a little bit longer. Like I said, probably for about 2 weeks, and then if we don't get no traction, like I said, or if we don't start getting call-ins, we got one person to message about the question while ago, but nobody's called in yet. Yeah, feel free if y'all want to message. Just message right on the platform. Instead of messages on there. I actually get more traction if y'all message on the platform instead of actually messaging on the call line. But the call lines are open, so if I understand people don't like calling in and stuff like that. Your everybody's numbers get erased every night after the show. So just to let y'all know. But anyways, call ins tonight, 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. Don't miss it. This is a Lone Wolf, and I'm out, y'all. I hope y'all have a wonderful God bless day.